you done now?
Bill Nye, Rick Goldman, Don Cannon, Stunts. Copyright.
Joe Stone, baby.
Joe Stone, good stunts.
Oh, we have a Jeff.
Oh, Jeffrey Chernoff was the unit producer manager. First assistant director, Michael Davies. Second assistant director, Alan D. Yeah,
Look at the makeup artist. We got a Brad.
Hey, we got a Brad. Excellent hero. Excellent music editing. Never noticed one cut. Assistant Deborah Hill, Randy Chernoff. Oh, Chernoff. There's a couple Chernoffs in here. Chernoff nepotist.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clue Movie Podcast, where we break down the 1985 cult classic movie Clue 1 minute at a time. My name is the boat, Brad Gilmore. I am joined by Jeff Smith and Jeffrey. This is not the penultimate episode. It's the episode before the penultimate episode, which I don't know what the term for that is, but it's almost to the end.
I've never even heard of penultimate. What is that?
Penultimate. The penultimate. You've never heard penultimate?
Like pre-ultimate?
No, it's like in music, the note before the last note of a song is the penultimate note.
Use a song as an example.
Okay, so we think of the Raiders theme. Da 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 da. That last right there.
Da. So the da.
Before the da. Before the last da.
The first, the da before the da, but not the last one in the whole like da 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 da.
No. You know why? That's the
da da da.
No. Yeah. No, they call the note before the last note the penultimate note.
Okay.
So like I always say, the episode before the last episode is the penultimate episode.
This is the pre-pull.
This is the penultimate. This is the penultimate.
Prenatal. Yeah.
The penultimate. Yeah. So anyway, there you go, Jeff. You learned something new today. The penultimate.
I did. We can wrap it up. That was the Clue Movie Podcast, everybody.
Well, you've heard
a lot of shake, rattle, and roll.
Yeah, you heard another episode of Shake, Rattle, and Rollness with a little bit of commentary by Jeff and I while the credits were playing. Jeff, few things up top. Let's just address them up top. Look, this is minute 95. We have minute 96, and then minute 97 really isn't even a full minute. It's like a minute 40. It's like 40 seconds. Or 50 seconds, somewhere around there.
And the silent Paramount logo at the end.
Right. So it's going to be incredible. Now, for the audience, I think we just discussed this right before we went live, and I feel like we should stay true to it. And I think if I say it on air, I have to make it happen. And that is this, that the finale, minute 97 of Clue the Movie Podcast, we will be doing live on that Monday, October the 7th of 2024 in the afternoon, the early afternoon, around 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, which is 2 p.m. Pacific.
Yes. Good job. Yep.
And then there's a mountain time in there somewhere that I'm not sure about.
Yeah. And for Ben in Australia, figure it out, buddy. I don't know how to do that one for you. It might be like in the middle of the night. So, yeah, now what platform are we putting this on?
It's a great question. This will be on all of my social media live, including the YouTube, and we'll add in your social medias.
Okay.
And we'll be streaming to the socials.
Get on the socials, everybody.
Yeah, but so Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, as everyone annoyingly refers to it on any kind of news platform, and the YouTubes. So it'll be Brad Gilmore's YouTube and then one of Jeff's. Jeff, which YouTube will you put this on?
YouTube, it will be on the YouTube channel, which is called It Looks So Fake.
Looks So Fake. We're going to get all this added, and you can stream it all simultaneously. And what we're going to do, we're going to encourage you to tune into that so that you can rock with us live any final thoughts on Clue? Any final thoughts on Clue, the movie podcast that you want to put out there? That will be your last time to do it. And also, if you have ever pondered leaving us a review, sending us an email, sliding in our DMs, that Monday, the 7th, will be the last time we will read any of this on Clue, the movie podcast. And so we encourage you to do it then and there. What we're going to do on these 2 episodes, Jeff, is something that I've actually really, really always wanted to do. There's a podcast called The Rewatchables. It is hosted by Bill Simmons, who's with The Ringer, formerly of ESPN, a pop culture commentator, I guess you would call him. And they do this podcast where they watch a movie similar to what we do, not a minute at a time, but they watch a movie and then they go through certain categories as they watch it, and they break it down and say, okay, who won the movie? Was this such and such Apex Mountain or things of this nature? So I found all the categories, and these last 2 episodes we're going to split between the original rewatchable categories and the new ones, and we'll see what we get out of it for Clue, because this is really, now that we're going through the credits, we've seen the movie. We've seen the movie. Y'all have listened. Y'all have listened to us see the movie. And so it's time to get into some kind of awards. Now, one of the things we did throughout the entirety of this series is we try to figure out who the most guilty was. But this is kind of different. This is a different thing. So we're going to go through these categories. Now, first off, Jeff, I know you've perused the categories. Yes. How are you feeling about this?
I'm very excited to get to things like the Joey Pants That Guy Award.
Yes.
I think that's excellent. And what's aged the best and what's aged the worst is going to be interesting. I think it's some of these things, not Joey Pants, although we should talk about Joey Pants. Everybody knows Joey Pants, right?
Yes.
Joey Pantaluna, is that the full name?
I think it's Pantaluna, yeah.
You probably, if you're a fan of Clue, you probably know him best from Goonies.
Yes, he's one of the heavies. Yeah, but also we were just talking about Bad Boys right before we rolled, and he's the police chief in Bad Boys. So we're gonna get to this. We're gonna break down Clue. These are the rewatchable categories. Now, Jeff, it's hard to really say for this one, but I feel like the first category is the most rewatchable scene of the movie. I feel like there are several contenders for this. I'm going to throw in a nomination first off. My nominee for most rewatchable scene is actually when they're in the dining room slurping the soup and having that initial conversation with each other. That's my most rewatchable scene because you had the great dialogue from Peacock. You had the awkward moments going in there. You have them trying to figure things out. And I felt like as an audience member, this is where I had a lot of fun learning about the characters for the first time. But look, I know there are probably way more rewatchable scenes, but this is the one that I throw out there.
I'd hate to start by agreeing with you right off the bat, because obviously we have not discussed this beforehand. But when I was thinking about rewatchable scenes, that scene in particular popped in my mind because that was the scene during this podcast that us rewatching it made us discover something pretty major that we didn't even realize was a thing. And that was Wadsworth purposefully blocking Mrs. Peacock's view of the kitchen so she could not see that her cook was the cook in the kitchen. And I think that only happens during a very rewatchable scene. And then just any scene where Madeline Kahn is doing something weird in the background. When you watch these movies again and you get to focus on just one character at a time, that's when you really start to see that these actors were all doing something, whether it's Martin Mull's Colonel Mustard counting to himself during 1 + 2 + 2 + 1, or Michael McKean coming out of the bathroom when it's revealed that it's Mrs. Peacock as the killer and he missed it and he looks like in shock. But I think the one that, at least for us, that we talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and now even close to the finale, is that dining room scene for sure. And it has Mrs. Peacock's, I think, Eileen Brennan has a lot of fine moments, but her introduction speech is my favorite Peacock moment of the entire movie.
Because I'm determined to enjoy myself.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is the most rewatchable scene. Now, obviously, there's a few other ones. I think that rewatchable scene, really, you have to say Wadsworth, anything at the end in any ending. But really, actually, the scene that's the penultimate scene to finally getting into each ending, I think you have to consider that one for most rewatchable, his recapping of murders.
We are literally rewatching the movie as we watch it, and with the three endings, we are also at times rewatching the same line of dialogue. Communism is a red herring. If there's one thing I don't understand, one thing. We get some repeaters. So this movie like forces us to have rewatchable scenes in the same sitting.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna go dinner scene, most rewatchable scene for the movie. Okay, this is a fun one. The Neil McCauley A Book About Metals Award for Best Line in the Movie. And now, if you don't know that, you've seen Heat, right?
Yes, a long time ago.
So there's a scene in Heat where Robert De Niro's character is meeting the woman for the first time, and they're in the restaurant. And Robert De Niro's character, Neil McCauley, is reading a book. And her first line to him is, what are you reading? And his response was, a book about metals? Come on, man. What a line. A book about metals. You know what I mean? So I don't
remember. Do they refer back to that book ever, or that's just it?
I think that's it. It's just a book about metals.
It stands alone.
So, in your opinion, the best line from the movie is what?
Well, this is going to be very cliche because it's a lot of people's favorites,
Sure.
But I'm going to have to go Flames on the Side of My Face. But also in keeping with it's a book about metals idea, Flames on the Side of My Face stops the movie and it goes nowhere, really. This is the finale that you were just talking about, where Tim Curry is going 1,000 miles per hour. He is going, what's the description of the script? I forget. Faster than the speed of light, or
manic breakneck.
Something like that. Yeah, like it's going to feel like we've undercranked it, and we haven't. So the movie is just going nonstop, but it stops dead in its tracks to give Madeline Kahn as Mrs. White a moment to explain in detail her hatred for Yvette. And she never quite finishes her thought. They give her a chance. They all stop and look, but no, and it's never referred to again. And it's just a very weird moment that a lot of people enjoy. And it's in a movie with so many repeatable lines. I still think that one is the one I think of. That's number one.
Look, that one has to win just because of the iconography of what that meant, right? But my favorite one, and I want to make sure I get it right. It's a little cheating because it's not a singular line, but I love the sequence of he threatened to kill me in public. Why did he threaten to kill you in public? No, I think he threatened in public to kill her. To me, I love that.
Great line, and then a wonderful eye roll by Tim Curry when it's all done, just to be the final thing. I like the line, but to me, it's I think he threatened in public to kill her. And then the eye roll of I'm dealing with.
I love that, and only because, like, I love when you can. What's his name? Norm Macdonald used to be really great at making the setup to the punchline the same phrase as the punchline itself. Sometimes he would just change his inflection or mix the word around, and it was the same thing he had just said as the setup was then the punchline, which is kind of if you could figure that out as a comic, like, it's a brilliant thing to do. And I feel like those kind of things in this, like, he threatened to kill me in public. Why would he threaten to kill you in public? I think he threatened in public to kill her. It's the same line 3 times in a row, but done with different inflections, and maybe you switch a word for Wadsworth.
Yeah, the order switches a little bit. Threatened in public.
To kill her.
The threat was in public, folks, not the killing.
He didn't threaten to kill her in public. Why would he kill you in public?
Because why would he want to kill you in public?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's so extreme.
And then
No, he just threatened.
as the child that I am, I also enjoy. Do you know where the ladies' room is? Or no, wait, what is it?
Yeah. Is there a ladies' room in the hallway?
Oui, madame. No, I just need to powder my nose.
Which she never gets to do.
Come on, man. That's a great
Yeah.
one. So I do think Flames on the Side of My Face wins this one, but that's my runner-up. So what aged the best, Jeff?
What has aged the best? You know, the funny thing, I think that's hard because I think the whole movie as a whole still plays very strong. I've had the opportunity to see it in theaters with people that have never seen it before. And because it's so fast paced, because it works on so many different levels, there's something that people grab onto every time, and it plays. And even just recently, I was telling you before we started, I went to go see the Clue again at the Alamo Drafthouse in Boston, and I've seen Clue many times on the big screen. So once it starts, it's more of like enjoying how the audience is reacting,
right,
or anything like that. And I thought, 10 minutes in, I'm like, maybe I'll go. But then it was actually the dining room scene that kept me in my seat a little bit longer. Like, wait, I need to watch this, and then I need to watch this. So I think as a whole, it's smart, and it doesn't feel like it was made in 1985. It's kind of timeless in that way. So I think that kind of stuff is aged. It's just the whole movie for me is aged the best. They were smart in making it timeless.
I think that's the only correct answer, is that the movie aged the best. It's because it wasn't successful at the time and then became successful later on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shows that the movie aged the best because it found an audience when there wasn't one initially. You can all say the cast aged the best just from they were all killers, and it's still killer all these days later, all these years later, all these decades later. Really, we're in a different century. So there's a lot of things that were really well done about it. But yeah, the movie aged the best. Now, when you come to the determination of what aged the worst, let me throw this one out here for you. Because if I show this movie to my nephew who just turned 14, he will enjoy Clue, right? He will have a great time with it. I think what he will not pick up on or even understand or have any connection to is the subplot of the McCarthyism and communism. I think that in the 80s, communism was still a topic of conversation.
Cold War
was still going strong. I mean, that's until 93 is when it officially ends. So, I mean, this is the Reagan years. This is before Bush, the first Bush, and it's still in the public consciousness. So even when Wadsworth has the socialist line, everyone reacts because that's how everyone would even still react in a theater, maybe even the 80s, of like, oh man, a socialist, these people are nuts, And a 14-year-old to pick up on the politics, and especially the politics from so far removed from anything that he's aware of, I think that that kind of aged the worst. I'm not saying that it's a deal breaker or anything, but to me, that subplot, it doesn't lend itself to aging well.
And I think now, I mean, if we're in the middle of an election season right now, and the term communism and telling somebody's a communist has become so common that it's really lost a lot of its meaning. Now, if somebody doesn't agree with you, communist, it's not true. It's not true to pure communism anymore. It's just a phrase that you use when you don't agree with somebody. So I think that is different as well, and even socialism for that matter. I think for me, what has aged the worst is just there are some jokes that history has not been kind to. Like, I don't know if everybody knows what a Hoover vacuum is.
Oh yeah.
So that, like, at the end when he says, is the FBI in the habit of cleaning up? Why do you think it's named after someone called Hoover? Because of the vacuum. And it's like one of the last jokes. I think if you don't know who J. Edgar Hoover was, going back to, I guess a lot of it has to do with J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah. He's on everybody else's line. Why shouldn't he be on mine? I think it was more, since it was more recent history, people were more aware. Now you'd have to really know your stuff, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving
No, I
the
agree.
kids today their credit.
No.
But I don't think
Don't give
they're
them any
gonna
credit.
catch all that.
Trust me, I've
No, that's
spent
right.
enough
You know
time
what?
around.
That's true.
I love though being around like people who are in their early 20s,
Oh yeah, my
post
favorite
9/11
age group.
kids.
Well, I'll say if they are listening to this podcast, they're fantastic. But if they're not, then not my favorite.
If anybody is listening to this podcast and you are born after the tragic events of 9/11, like I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, I look at going back to the It Looks So Fake YouTube channel, which is mostly stuff I put up with Clue. You know, you can see your demographics.
Not a lot of under 20.
No, I've got a lot of males our age, your age, and then my age.
Yep.
And a little bit older too, but not cracking that Sydney Sweeney audience.
Well, yeah, obviously. You don't offer the same thing Sydney Sweeney does to a young audience.
I do not.
For a variety of different reasons. Not that you're not good to look at, but I'm just saying.
This for podcasting, radio.
All right, here's the next one. The Dion Waiters Award for Best Heat Check Performance in a Movie. Dion Waiters, of course, a basketball player known for just going crazy at a moment's notice and having his heat check where he's scoring a lot of points really, really quickly. To me, the heat check performance, which is kind of, to me, like a one-off. Like you're in for a little bit, you show what you got, and then we don't see you for a while, if ever again. So to me, the best heat check of the movie is Lee Ving. Lee Ving comes in, delivers some dialogue, memorable dinner scene, memorable entrance, has his final, here are your gifts, and then we don't see him again until a reenactment later, but we don't hear from him again. I think Lee Ving, Mr. Body, best heat check performance in the movie.
Nice. I'll go with someone that's in the movie a lot, but she has wonderful moments where she explodes and then goes back into kind of a quiet, reserved mode. And that is Eileen Brennan as Mrs. Peacock. I think of the scene, let him stay locked up for another half hour. The police will be here by then. And there are 2 dead bodies in the study. And they have to shush her. And then the last noise she makes is when, well, look what happened to the cook. And then she's done. Because then she can't even react to Professor Plum's "It's you and me, honey bunch." She's out.
She's out.
She's used it all. So she jumped up. She expressed her frustrations, and now and she messed with her hat and almost that feather also should get a lot of credit for surviving because it should be mangled by the time that movie's over.
Yeah, Eileen Brennan's heat checks are pretty great. So I'm kind of leaning to you, but I am going to stick to my guns.
I like Lee Ving, though.
I'm going to stick to my guns and Lee Ving.
He makes his presence, I'll give him that. He does come in, you wonder about him. He's a bad guy. He doesn't belong. And off he goes.
Rides off into the sunset. The next one, I think that we have to have the same.
Hold on. Oh, Singing Telegram.
Oh, man.
That's she's in for 8 seconds. One of the funniest things in the whole movie.
And one of the most memorable. Singing Telegram Girl is the Dion Waiters Award.
Yeah.
That's a great call. I mean, because look, she's so iconic. Everyone knows da-da-da-da-da-da. I am your singing telegram. Bam! Oh, phenomenal. Yeah. Why didn't we think of that before? Yeah, that's absolutely.
I wonder how many Cluevians are listening to us ramble about leaving and Eileen Brennan going, "You dopes."
Oh, man.
I hope not. I hope they got there with us.
All right, here we go.
Joey Pants
Award for best that
Explain
guy
this.
in a movie. So this is like when you're watching a movie and you go, "Oh, look, it's that guy." You don't know his name, but you know he's always in a movie. You always see him. It's like, that guy. And to me, this is an obvious winner. We should probably have the same exact answer for this because the Joey Pants That Guy Award in Clue is Bill Henderson.
Oh, we do not have the same one.
What? Bill
I
Henderson
know.
is the guy. When you go, I don't know your name, but I see
Yeah.
you in City Slickers. You pop up in all these random movies from the 80s,
Sure.
early 90s. Bill Henderson is that guy. Like, I don't know you. Who is that guy? I don't know, but you're that guy.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I'm taking the definition a little bit differently because my that guy is someone that people knew very well, but weren't expecting, especially at the end of the movie. So I think the reaction was, "Oh my goodness, it's that guy, Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati. What is he doing here?" As opposed to, "Oh, that's the guy. What's his name?" So
Mm,
that's where I was thinking for that guy, but it's more like, huh, that guy's here too.
okay.
How strange. But yes, Bill Henderson. What did I just see where he popped up again? And I thought, oh, I mean, now we know him as our
We know him,
just
Officer
the
Bill.
worst cop in the world, Bill the
Yeah.
cop. But he was just in. Oh shoot! Oh, How I Got into College.
How
It's
I Got
a
into
movie
College.
from the director of Better Off Dead, and he plays a high school basketball coach, trying to get his star player from high school into college and giving him like kind of like a Jerry Maguire kind of deal. Um, but he was in that. And I'm like, oh, there he is.
Check out this run, though. I just want to go through from 85 to 98 for Bill Henderson. Okay. And this is just, this isn't anything but film. Okay. So let's start with, you could really start it with The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. But no, you start with Clue, then Fletch, Murphy's Law, How I Got into College, No Holds Barred, City Slickers, White Men Can't Jump. White Men Can't Jump. He's in Maverick as the riverboat poker player.
Yes, he is. He's at one of the tables.
He's in Weird Al Yankovic's There's No Going Home as Blonde Lemon Yankovic. He is in Conspiracy Theory as hospital security. And then he's in Lethal Weapon 4 as an angry patient.
Yes.
He's that guy.
He played a security guard? Oh, that poor place. In Conspiracy Theory? Is that where he was?
In Conspiracy Theory. He was a security guard.
That's a conspiracy.
That's Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts, for people who don't know.
Yeah, I remember. Is that 90s?
97.
97.
And then even check this out.
Richard Donner movie? Is that a Richard Donner movie?
I think it is Richard Donner. Let me look it up. Let's see. It is Donner. It is a Donner movie.
It's Maverick. So
is Maverick.
Maverick also with Mel G.
Wait a minute. And then Lethal Weapon 4 was with who? That's a Richard Donner too.
Oh.
We see a little.
Somebody made a friend.
Yeah. Somebody likes Mel and somebody likes Bill Henderson. That guy's name was Dick Donner.
I guess so.
But look, even think about this. Happy Days, Sanford and Sons, Good Times, Jeffersons, What's Happening, Different Strokes, Incredible Hulk, Benson, Hill Street Blues, MacGyver, In the Heat of the Night, NYPD Blue, Mad About You, ER, Seventh Heaven. And that's kind of it of the ones I know.
All right. I will relent then. For that kind of that guy, absolutely.
Well, let's go to our next one, the Ruffalo Hannah Rubinek Patridge Overacting Award. Do we give this one to Colleen Camp?
Yeah, that's who I thought of too, for the accent alone.
Just for that. Because I think everyone's kind of hamming it up.
Overacting, it's just very extreme and not necessarily accurate the entire way, but fits with the character because she's not really French.
She's not really French, and like
really, it's on the other people for not picking up. Like, it's kind of phony. I don't know what it was that distracted them.
I don't know either.
From the bad French accent, maybe in a Sydney Sweeney kind of way.
It's funny you say that because well, obviously she's the overactor of the movie.
Yeah.
Because everybody's hamming it up, everybody's overacting, but again, that's the
very theatrical. Very theatrical.
Very theatrical. Casting what ifs, we've done this before.
We have.
Over who potentially could have been Wadsworth. We know Carrie Fisher was going to be Miss Scarlet. We know Leslie Ann Warren was going to be Mrs. White. So, I mean, we've played this game before. So some of these categories you've heard us do throughout the entirety of this podcast. I think that was actually in the early days we talked about all those. half-ass internet research. I think that's what you call this podcast, so we can skip that one.
Yeah, you're hearing it right now.
Probably
What's the award, episode 1 through 95.
Probably unanswerable questions. Well, there's a few. I think the most unanswerable question is, where's the real Mr. Green?
Yeah. And anything you ask director Jonathan Lynn.
And anything you ask.
I don't remember.
Okay, couple more. Sequel, prequel, limited series, or all black remake? What would be the best one here? Now, these are the Simmons categories.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm leaning to all black cast.
I would love to know what the all black cast of Clue was. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always thought that a limited series / prequel would be very interesting, where we get to know kind of in a the show Lost, which is not a great show, but they took time. A different episode was about a different character, and I thought that would always be interesting if you had an episode. This is Colonel Mustard's episode. This is Professor Plum's episode, and you get to know them a little bit more outside of the mansion. And then, it ends with them going to the house, and we all know what happens then.
I like
in the kind of Rogue One kind of way.
Sequel, little hard. We pitched our sequels and alternate scripts before, so you can go back and listen to those.
Miss Professor Plum and
Mrs. White. Sweet Lies and Plum Pies.
White
Lies and Plum Pies.
White Lies, because it's white. White Lies, sweet. White Lies and Plum Pies. Yes, they went to Newport Beach, I think, and lived it up in SoCal.
But here's the thing, because we're almost finished with this run of this show, we're going to have real quick, before we finish all the categories for this episode, we're going to have a quick surprise guest here from our own Juniper Sparks here.
Juniper!
Juniper, are you there? Are you with us? Welcome to Clue the Movie Podcast. See if she's here. I don't know. I just updated my phone.
Haha, yes, I'm here, and I'm ready to talk Clue. What mystery are we unraveling today on the pod?
Hey, what we're going to talk about is we're discussing doing a all-black cast remake of Clue the movie. Can you cast each of the characters as a African-American actor and or actress? Now this is hard. Let's see what she comes up with.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
Does it?
Here's a take on casting an all-black remake of Clue. Why, it's with a butler, Idris Elba. He's got the perfect mix of charm, intensity, and humor to pull off the role. Regina Hall. With her sharp wit and comedic timing, she'd nail the role of the flirtatious and mysterious Miss Scarlet. Viola Davis. She can play dignified and dramatic, but also bring a ton of depth to the character's over-the-top paranoia. Sterling K. Brown. He can bring both the authority and underlying cluelessness that the character needs. Donald Glover.
What character?
A smooth and quirky take on the know-it-all professor, but with a bit of his signature humor. Octavia Spencer.
Oh, my connection failed. Oh, here we go. She wrote it out. So you know what, Juniper, I'm going to read it so we know what's going on there. So
was she talking about Colonel Mustard earlier, I think?
Well, we're going to figure this out. So this is Wadsworth as Idris Elba, Miss Scarlet Regina Hall, Mrs. Peacock Viola Davis, Colonel Mustard Sterling K. Brown, Professor Plum Donald Glover, Mrs. White is Octavia Spencer, and Mr. Green is played by Michael B. Jordan. But the big question is, who would play Yvette? That's the final question that we need to know. But I like it, because they did. There was a Kiki Palmer to play Yvette. Okay, I'm not mad at that.
It's a big cast.
Big cast, huge, big names. Do you remember they did a movie? There was a British version of it, I believe, called Death at a Funeral.
Yes.
And then they did.
I haven't seen it, but yes.
Chris Rock did a remake of it, all black cast. Much better.
Okay.
Much better. So I don't know. I'm just saying.
Chris Rock is tough in movies.
He's hit or miss.
One of my favorite stand-up comedians, but movies. Going back to Lethal Weapon 4.
But honestly, I don't know if I want a sequel or a prequel or an all-black remake or all other ethnic group remake of any kind. Limited series would be my play.
Yeah. Well, they just announced the potential director of the new Clue, and it is a gentleman by the name of Zach Kreger. Yeah, Zach Kreger, who has directed the film Barbarian, which is about a woman staying in an Airbnb, discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems.
What's this guy's name?
Zach Kreger, Cregger.
Okay, continue.
Yes. So I'm looking at his IMDb because I've not seen Barbarian. I will.
So Barbarian, Companion. Oh, that doesn't come out yet. Miss March. Oh, he did Miss March.
Hey.
Okay. I've actually seen none of his movies.
No, neither have I.
Apparently he's an actor too, and I've seen nothing that he's in.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it sounds like Barbarian is more of a straight kind of scary movie. So, as I kind of anticipate, it doesn't sound like they're going to go comedy with Clue this time, which I think is probably best. I think it's going to be a movie with the same title and potentially the same characters. Who knows? There could be an orchid appearance or any of the other names that have popped up in the game.
Well, this is like recent news. This is like within the last couple of days.
Like days. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know how I feel about it.
The writer that they've got to write the script is, I'm going to my own Instagram to see, because I posted this on Clue documentary.
Yeah.
The Instagram. And Shay Hatten, Hatten, who wrote John Wick 3 and 4. He wrote Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon movies and also Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
Okay, well, there you go.
So these are not comedies per se. They have comic elements in it.
They do have comic elements.
More genre Clue.
Yes.
Which is fine. I mean, I think that's probably a safer way to go. I think you should. The only reason people don't want another Clue movie is if they're super fans of the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do this one again. And so it sounds like the Ryan Reynolds version is now completely dead.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe it should be. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now, again, going back to real quick for the remake, instead of Keke Palmer for Yvette, let me throw out a suggestion of Chloe Bailey. And if you don't know Chloe Bailey, do yourself a favor. Google. Great singer, great songwriter, gorgeous. Like, oh my God, gorgeous. And she's in Fight Night, which is a new show on Peacock with Kevin Hart and Sam Jackson, Taraji P. Henson.
The $1 Million Heist.
Terrence Howard. Yeah, very good. I really like it.
Okay.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that show, and I'm a fan of Chloe Bailey.
TV.
Big fan. Big fan. Let me go to our next one. This is a hard one here, Jeff. Apex Mountain. So this is who had their highest of heights with this movie. Did any one person reach their apex? And when you go through it, the only it's not like, let's go through the cast. Is it Christopher Lloyd's apex? Obviously not, right? Back to the Future fame is pretty much his apex. Even though Back to the Future came out earlier in the year, I think the whole trilogy. So I'd say his apex is really in 1990 is when it's peaked. Because even though he went and did Addams Family and did a lot of movies after that, I don't think it ever got higher than him as Doc Brown, obviously. Tim Curry. Apex of Tim Curry?
No, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Because this is a tour de force. That's what was in the script.
Tour de force.
But he did plenty of wonderful things after this that we've quoted many times with Home Alone 2, with
Home Alone
Treasure
2.
Island.
Yeah.
Ton of stuff. So no,
I think more of a launching pad than an apex.
Yeah.
To an American.
I think for a younger audience like me, I didn't know who he was yet.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen Mel Brooks movies yet, so I didn't know who Madeline Kahn was, but she certainly did some great stuff after this as well. I think her apex, it would be close to Madeline Kahn, but I think for me, it's Leslie Ann Warren.
I think this is Leslie Ann Warren's Apex Mountain.
Yeah. She's done stuff since then, but I don't think anything where she got to shine. She did plenty of stuff before Clue, where she was nominated for supporting actress. For Victor Victoria, and she did plenty of stuff before. And she's done other things since then. She was on Desperate Housewives. She was
on Clue the Movie Podcast.
Smaller parts, and she was on Clue the Movie Podcast. She was in Clue, Whodunit Clue documentary, where she shined there as well. But I think the movie let her, and it's amazing that she almost didn't play Miss Scarlet, but I think this movie let her shine in ways that I think a lot of people, when they think of Roseanne Warren, this is the movie they think of. And with a lot of the other cast, you'll think of other things as well as Clue.
Yeah, I think for me, the characters who are at Apex Mountain, I do think Colleen Camp Apex. I think even though she had funny stuff that she did after this, like Entourage and stuff, if you say Colleen Camp and people go, who? What do you say? You go, the maid from Clue? And they're like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, okay. So I think Colleen Camp Apex, not Michael McKean. No, Leaving. I think Colleen Camp and Leaving, Apex Mountain.
As far as acting, sure. Yeah, because he still does his music and stuff. I just don't think he's in a lot. Although he was in Whodunit Clue documentary, but never got him for the podcast.
We tried. So
touring.
Let's go with this. Who won the movie?
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry won the movie. It's not even a thing.
Picking nits. We won the movie. That's who, the audience.
Picking nits. I think that's what we did this whole time.
Okay.
That's like looking for little plot holes.
I see. Oh, that's called Clue Movie Podcast. Yeah.
That's called Clue Movie Podcast. Recasting couch. So if we were to recast, I think we've done this too, where we've looked at who could play modern versions of stuff. It's funny because in the Rewatchables podcast, it's always they say, well, you could remake it with Sydney Sweeney, which she's already come up several times. And if you are recasting Yvette for today, maybe Sydney Sweeney's who you go with. Okay, and our final one is this movie better with Danny Trejo, Steve Buscemi, or Michael K. Williams?
Danny Trejo as Mr. Body.
I'm thinking Danny Trejo as Mr. Body.
And then Steve Buscemi. No, I'll keep it pure. But I can see all of them. I mean, they make everything better. So that's kind of a trick.
Well, there you go, man. Well,
so I guess my answer is yes.
Those are our categories for part 1 of our Rewatchables edition of Clue Movie Podcast. Minute 95. We're going to be back next week.
What did you say? Did you think it's better with Danny Trejo or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm leaving the cast as it is, but I love Danny Trejo and everything he's in.
Sure.
But anyway, that's our first edition of this award ceremony for Clue Movie Podcast. I want to remind you, October 7th, we will do a live Clue the Movie Podcast scheduled for 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. If you're anywhere not in those time zones, you're going to have to figure it out. But Jeff Smith, we're going to be back next week, minute 96, the penultimate episode of Clue the Movie Podcast. And there's another thing that I needed to get your take on, and we'll do that next week. ClueDoc.com, thewotebradgilmore.com. Jeff, I'll see you next week, man.